I'm making an executive decision.
Uh-oh.
We're moving into the summer. I think this summer we're going to cover just
Summer movies
/ kids in danger.
Sweep the leg. You have a problem with that?
Welcome to the Project Gen X Retro Summer Series 2022.
Sarah, beware. I have been generous up until now, but I can be cruel.
Starting in May and ending in August, we will review the summer movies from our youth that include Tron.
Still don't understand why you want to break into the system.
Because, man, somewhere in one of these memories is the evidence. If I got in far enough, I could reconstruct it.
Adventures in Babysitting.
Don't fuck with the babysitter.
The Goonies.
Don't say that. Never say that. Goonies never say die.
Back to the Future.
Whoa, this is heavy. There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? What?
And so much more.
We talked into the night. The kind of talk that seemed important until you discover girls.
If I can only have one food for the rest of my life, that's easy. Pass. Cherry flavor pass.
Along the way, we will also sprinkle in some non-movie goodness that will remind us what it was like to be a kid when the socks were high, the shorts were extra short, and there wasn't a cell phone to be seen.
E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home. Wants to call somebody.
So sit back and join Big Dave, Barry, and myself, Alan Smith, to relive the magic of the 80s and the retro summer. So, welcome back to the Project Gen X podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with...
I am Big Dave.
And we are also joined by...
Barry!
And since we are in Retro Summer 2022, our next movie on the list is the 1984 movie, Cloak and Dagger.
Well, we know who did their homework again.
Oh, God. Yep. I have... With organizing our special project that hopefully will be out here very soon, or maybe as soon as this episode actually hits, as well as, because that has just been an ongoing thing, as well as watching a whole lot of movies that I have not seen in 30 plus years.
You did this to yourself.
I did. I really did. I know. I did my usual on the fly, hey, let's do this thing.
And then, I'm the one that's been busy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and Dave. Oh, yeah, Dave's back with us.
Yes, look at that, Dave. I apologize for anything we said in previous podcasts.
For the first time.
You wouldn't have said.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair.
That is something about this group that's sitting here is that anything we say behind your back, we'll say it to your face. Don't worry about it.
And not wrong.
Matter of fact, we'll say a whole lot more to each other's faces than we will behind
just
your
to see
back.
if we can get away with it sometimes. Anyway, Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger. Hold on. Actually, you know what? Give us a rundown of who's in this movie.
I shall. Well, let me give you the specs.
All right, give us the specs.
Barry did his homework.
Homework.
I did some homework.
Right.
Well,
and Alan is here trying to be herded like a giant cat.
I am my own herd of cats.
Yes, you are.
I'm a bunch of cats that are stacked on top of each other.
No, I figured it out. You are the Ben Affleck to our Matt Damon, so it's all right. We understand. Basically, we do all the work.
Does that mean I have to marry Jennifer Lopez?
Oh, well, there are worse ways to go down.
I guess.
All right, so Cloak and Dagger, 1984, directed by Richard Franklin. Mm-hmm. Written by, the screenplay was by Tom Holland. It was originally based off of...
Is that Savage Tom Holland?
No, it's not. That's Savage Steve Holland.
Steve Holland. Sorry. Tom Holland. Spider-Man's Tom Holland. That's
not that one.
I know.
There's that cat thing I was talking
Exactly. This was originally based on a short story by Cornell Woolrich called The Boy Who Cried Murder. The full cast on this, starring Henry Thomas, yes, the kid from E.T. Dabney Coleman.
From 9 to 5.
Or Buffalo Bill, or whatever movie you want to show.
Buffalo Bill.
Yes. Michael Murphy, not Michael Martin Murphy.
Right.
Christina Aguilera. Nigra. I can't remember how to pronounce her last name.
Careful how you say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Nigra.
Yes.
If you want to try it at home.
John McIntyre and Jeanette Nolan, who honestly, those two were, first off, I found out were married in real life and had been in a ton of movies back in the 40s and 50s.
Sure.
Oh,
and just
okay,
kind of made
okay,
a reappearance
okay,
later
yeah.
on. The other big name of mention on this is really the first that I know of, but definitely the first major role for an actor by the name of William Forsythe.
Okay.
William Forsythe, made famous in so many movies.
I know he's been in a ton of movies.
This movie also has probably one of the first appearances of a certain comedian.
Yep, Louis Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I noticed that rewatching it last night. I was like, "Is that Louis? That's Louis Anderson."
Louis Anderson.
Wow, that's
He made an appearance in this, and he made an appearance in an uncredited appearance in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Really?
When they're delivering the flowers and the nurse is in.
Oh, yeah.
He's holding the flowers.
Oh, okay.
That's Louis Anderson. Anyway, so
the nurse that likes to.
Yeah, exactly. The
But
nurse.
he plays kind of a mean guy. He plays a cabbie that basically tells his kid to get lost.
Yeah, I know.
He's not friendly about it.
Yeah, definitely not what you expect from Louis Anderson.
No. This was produced by Universal, one of their first bigger hits. As I said, it was released in July of '84.
Okay.
Oddly enough, it was released as a partner, as a double feature to The Last Starfighter.
Makes sense.
And then they released it solo in August.
Okay. How much did Atari have to do with this movie?
A lot.
It was
Because
basically
Atari is all
Lots.
over this thing.
I did a
Is
little
Atari
research.
5200?
No, I did a little research on that. The machine that you see in the movie is a 7800.
Yes.
Which was released in May of
I
that
thought
year.
it was a 5200.
It was a 7800.
7800.
Well, I know that the was it Gil? Is that the guy's name? The guy that owns the
Morris.
Morris. He's got an Atari 900
Yes.
computer. That's what he's playing on.
But-
and of course everything is Atari branded. Everything.
but the console,
Atari branded.
the console that you see in the movie is a 7800,
7800.
which was released in May of that year. This movie was released in July. So it's just one big advertisement for Atari.
Now,
Yeah.
one other thing, I
And
want you
that
guys
game.
to keep
I thought
in
that was
mind.
okay.
There were two big events that happened in '84. In the summer of '84, first was the release of the 5200.
Yeah.
But also, what else was going on in July of '84?
The Olympics.
The Summer
Yeah,
Olympics.
they were in L.A.
So, and this really played a lot into that, giving the kids something else to do instead of watching the Olympics type thing. So,
I did not see this movie in the theater.
I remember
called
seeing
it.
this in the theater.
I called it on VHS.
This was a
later.
VHS rental for me.
Yeah.
Oh, this was we had HBO for a free weekend, and it got recorded onto a videotape, and I watched it multiple
No,
times.
this was we were living in Illinois at the time, and this was we had to go over to the IGA Superstore, which had the corner with the video rentals, but we had to rent the VCR in addition to the two or three
remember
movies
those.
that we were renting.
Yeah.
So it was not inexpensive, but I think the VCR for the weekend was like $25.
On a quick note before we go on to anything else,
Yes.
because we're talking about this VHS, this kind of stuff. There is a podcast called Ephemera that is on the iHeartRadio podcast, network. It's in that Discovery, whatever,
Right.
Yeah.
that is really cool that they did this season, which they came back just earlier this year, did like a 2-part deal about VHS, like about video, like home video. That is phenomenal.
have to
They
check that
also
out.
did one. They also did a 2-parter about video games.
Okay.
And it's actually a 3-parter because they have like a third episode that's like people talking about their first experiences with video games, and it's all this era of stuff. It's really cool. But go and check them out. Just go and check out the podcast Ephemera in general, because they did in their first season did an entire episode about the Dumont television network.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's that kind of stuff, of like stuff that's just not available any longer because I sent Ephemera, type stuff. So go check them out. Anyways, now that we're going on to that.
No problem. So, quick rundown of the plot. We'll kind of just dive right into it. So this takes place, the main character is an 11-year-old boy named Davey. Takes place in San Antonio, Texas, because, well, oddly enough, that's where Henry Thomas actually lived.
Oh, really?
So they just filmed it in San Antonio.
Okay.
They
go to the Alamo.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not looking for the basement.
they actually shot around the Alamo because they weren't allowed to shoot in it. They did not give them permission to shoot in it. So anytime you see inside of the Alamo, that's a sound stage.
Okay, I was going to ask about
but
that.
the outside shots of the Alamo are actually the Alamo.
Okay.
So it's all about him being kind of obsessed with this game called Cloak and Dagger. He's fascinated by this character named Jack Flack, who's played by Dabney Coleman. So much so that he has these fantasies where he's going on these adventures with him and things like that. Well, in the process,
he actually talks to him.
Yeah, he has interactions with him and things like that. So,
let's play. It's a role-playing game.
It is a role-playing. It starts as
role-playing. And then there's a video game also.
Yes. And he has his best friend is Kim, who is a little girl that lives near him.
What was she in?
Oh my gosh, I didn't look that one.
Okay, the biggest thing that I saw that she was in that she'd be known for, she was the neighbor kid in Out of This World.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah. So
you
remember Out of This World?
Not really.
Right, it was a syndicated television show back in the mid '80s. Actually, it ran to like '91 or something like that.
Somebody was a space alien or something.
Her dad was an alien, and she doesn't know this. The girl doesn't know this until like she's a young teenager. Her mom tells her.
She talks to him and like
and it's when he like starts talking to her, and she can freeze time. Like this whole deal. Like, she does this little thing with her fingers where she like whatever, and she can freeze time. Kind of like the whole Zach Morris thing.
I do
a little
remember
bit.
that.
So it's
Wasn't the theme song like "Swinging on a Star"?
Yes, it was. Yeah, yeah. Would you like to swing on the star? Yeah.
So
it usually was in the same block with Small Wonder.
Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm back there now.
Okay.
All right. So they're again he friends Kim, and they go on these little adventures, where Davey has a backpack of spy stuff. His grenade is like a baseball and
the softball,
and he's got a water gun and stuff like that.
That he puts fake blood in.
Yes,
I
remember that. So he goes on, and one day they're out visiting this guy named Morris. Morris owns a video game. Well, it's a game store, and at this time, you get very clear that it's both role-playing games, tabletop, board games, as well as video games. And Morris sends him on a quote-unquote mission to go buy him some Twinkies.
And also pick up a catalog from was an electronics place.
Yeah.
It's something. Yeah.
So in the process of it, Davey witnesses this guy getting shot. And before the guy dies, he gives him this video game cartridge, which for some reason, this is the part that confused me. Throughout the entire movie, they keep referring to it as a tape. It's not a tape.
Know,
it's a cartridge. But they say it countless times. There's something on this tape. There's no tape in it. It's a cartridge.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a Cloak and Dagger game. And, he witnesses the murder. The guys, who murdered this dead guy start to chase him. So he goes back and starts to talk to Morris, trying to, figure out what's on this cassette. And Morris, cracks it open and takes a look at it and says, well, there's something else. And
there's an extra microchip.
Yeah, there's an extra microchip in this. Whoever did this knew what he was doing.
This is really good work.
Yeah. And of course, the guy, as he's dying, tells Davey this number, this random number,
1,329,000,
something like that. And they figure out that that's supposed to be the score that you have to get to in this game to break into whatever's in this microchip. So the spies are chasing him all around the city, and Jack in Davey's fantasies is constantly helping Davey avoid getting caught by these pursuants, these murderers.
Right.
And in the process of it, I'm trying to remember exactly what order everything happened on this, but there's a scene where he gets cornered in the Riverwalk. And as I said, it's San Antonio.
At night.
At night. He gets cornered in the Riverwalk, and Jack, they trick one of the guys, and Davey picks up his gun. And
it's the Crossfire Gambit.
Yes, exactly. Crossfire Gambits. Thank you.
Gets shot at so the other guy dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, if these guys were in any other movie, they would both be stormtroopers.
Yeah, pretty much.
God, yes,
I know.
They couldn't hit the barn side of a broad. Anyway.
So many.
Moving on.
So many comments.
Don't do that to me. I'm tired.
So many comments.
Go ahead.
So once Jack Jack persuades him to shoot the spy, and Davey's pissed, so he throws down his little Jack Black. I keep saying Jack Black.
Jack Flack.
Yeah, he was not in this movie. Throws down his little figurine and stomps on it. And you see Jack start to fade on this, and he starts to believe again.
He starts bleeding.
He starts bleeding.
Yeah, but you start to see he's bleeding from the bullet holes that were shot through him. As they're going through on this, he eventually escapes again, and for some reason he gets over to the Alamo, and he's supposed to be dropping off the tape to get these the people to leave him alone. And
no, that happened before.
That happened before.
I was going to say you're jumping around the movie.
He's trying to get to the airport at that point.
I'm trying to get to the airport. Yeah. So there's a scene in it where he's at the Alamo and he's supposed to be dropping off this case that has the game in it to these agents, and there's an older couple that's with them that
he had met on the boat earlier.
Yeah,
they were escaping
when he's running away, and they try to help him out, and the old man ends up switching the case. So Davy's telling him about, this is what this is what's on it. Apparently there's going to these bosses that, it's supposed to be a couple, and the woman has 3 fingers on
one of them. He doesn't know that it's a couple. He's one of them only has 3 fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the little old lady pulls her glove off.
Yes.
She only has 3 fingers.
And you see that she only
Which
has
I remember as a
3 fingers.
kid watching that and
Me
just being like,
out.
oh, I did not see that coming.
Especially that big disfigured claw.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
I know.
So in the process, they he gets away, but in the bad guys end up finding Kim, and where she's trying to find him, and end up sending her to the airport, wasn't it? Now, who was it went to the airport?
It was Kim.
Kim went to the airport.
But the thing about
they
it
had captured her earlier when they were
put
trying
the bomb in her walkie-talkie.
and put the bomb in a walkie-talkie. Yeah.
and it made it remote control with a timer.
Yeah, an hour timer, and so much more than an hour passed in that time.
God, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, when Davy gets on the plane with it, and they
there's a showdown at the airport.
They're
on the way to
demanding
Cuba.
they're demanding a pilot,
Right.
And it just so happens that Davy's dad, played by
Dabney
Coleman,
Coleman,
is an actual pilot.
Well, he's not an actual pilot.
He works for the airline, but he is an actual
he's in the Air Force.
He's in the Air Force.
Yeah,
but he's command level.
Right. He doesn't play. He said he has his ground. What is it? The ground safety. He's got his ground safety card, and he can taxi.
Yeah,
but he can't fly.
So
that's
he gets into the he comes out as the pilot, and Davy doesn't react to him when he sees him. He comes up. They're roughing the kid around. They're trying to get him in there, and his dad comes on the PA in the plane and starts talking like Jack Flack,
right,
to tell Davy to get up there really quick. And Davy escapes, and just as he's escaping, he turns back to see the plane.
His dad drops him out of the cockpit window.
Yeah. Throws him out the cockpit window so that he can escape. The plane skitters off, and Davy turns on to look just to see the plane explode. Mm-hmm. And he, of course, is crying and weeping, and he's looking in the silhouette, and a man's walking out of the silhouette.
It looks like Jack Flack.
At first, it looks like Jack Flack, and then as it gets closer, you realize that it's Davy's dad. And
terrible green screen.
Oh, yeah. Horrible green screen.
Terrible.
Actually, at that point, it was probably still
I'm
blue
sure.
screen.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, wow, that doesn't even remotely look like they're in the same place with that fire.
Yeah. And the last line of the movie, I'll never forget this. The last line of the movie, he's turning to his dad, and he goes, "But how did you escape?" And his dad looks at him and says, "Jack Flack always escapes."
Yeah. All right. Let me start with the issues I have with this movie.
Oh, Lord. Get comfy, Dave. We may be here in a minute.
We always are.
Again, stuff that I did not catch when I was a kid, a lot of it. First off, we find out that Davy's mom passed recently, right? And apparently he's been going to a doctor because he keeps talking about seeing Jack Flack, and
this was his coping mechanism.
And he has a super active imagination.
Very active, as every 10-year-old kid does for the most part.
Yeah.
But his dad, I understand single parent, but the fact that his dad completely leaves him unattended all day long and well into the night. Very Gen X, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Very Gen X. So, I mean, that's believable. But I was just like, when I was watching this, I never realized all this.
Well, and realize the trauma that Davy goes through in his little adventure.
Exactly.
Well, he's a kid who just lost his mom.
Right.
He's grieving heavily, as is his dad. But the dad has his work to throw himself into and leaves this poor kid to his own devices.
I know, and that's, especially in that situation.
Yeah.
Even in the
Hit a little close
Gen
to
X. No, I'm just talking about with the whole Gen X of being unsupervised, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Any good parent would have him staying with the neighbor or
someone they
anything.
trust,
Yeah, something going on there. I mean, that's
I mean,
now granted, this is a movie.
The neighbor
This is a
girl,
movie.
Kim,
Yeah.
her mom was around.
Yes, exactly. And the thing is, she's right next door. So why would you say, "Hey, do
Yeah.
you mind if he stays here? Or you look in on him from time to time, or
Right.
or whatever?" Because there is a thing that's mentioned that she's never met his dad. Like
Right.
that, like her mom has never met his dad. You know,
Yeah.
and that also the fact that so. Jack Flack is his imaginary friend, but he actually manifests himself at the end of the movie to where the bad guy can see him.
Yeah, that was a little.
Yeah, and as well as of course,
I don't know that he actually manifested.
Yeah, because he shot at him. I mean,
Hold
that
on.
was the
Wait. If you actually watch the movie, you see him keep staring over into a shadow.
Yeah.
And keep staring over
So
into
you
a
could make
shadow.
the argument that he's shooting into the shadow.
Okay, that's all well and good,
this
except
is
for the
at a
fact
night.
that Jack Flack starts materializing. That's the whole.
I never saw that.
I did.
I know the scene he's talking about, and I will say this much: you could make the argument either way on this by saying he magically materializes, or you could say that the guy that he's watching this going on starts to fascinate, hallucinate, whatever you want to say. This kid's talking to something over there. Something's got to be there.
Right.
He keeps talking to him.
And that was
addressing
something
it,
else
so.
I noticed, especially when they were going back to the game store in the mall. If you watch all the people that they're walking past, they're all turning around looking at him and Jack Flack. Of course, obviously they're not seeing Jack Flack. They're seeing this kid talking to somebody who's
himself.
not there. But that was a nice little detail I did notice, that everybody that they walk past is kind of like looking at him like, what's going on with this kid here? My other it's not an issue. My other thing is that at the end, whenever Jack Flack, quote unquote, dies, or right before he does, I guess actually, and he's talking about how his dad, he's like, yeah, even your dad when he was a kid, he played all these Cowboys and Indian games, and then all of a sudden he didn't have any use for me any longer. So it's kind of one of those things where it's almost this.
Hereditary.
Yeah, maybe not just hereditary, but it's like this tableau, for lack of a better, of Jack in whatever form it is, has kind of been around forever, because that's one of the things is that as he's dying, he looks at Davey and says, you were my favorite person,
right?
Favorite
playmate, yeah, which implies that he's been around for a long time with a lot of people, and and it's one of those things where, of course, all of this is suspended reality. We have to suspend. Like I said, we get to the end. We start talking about the countdown of the hour long for the bomb to go off, and how little time it takes for them to get from downtown San Diego to the airport, or San Antonio to the airport, and everything else that goes, and how 2 minutes takes a good 10 to tick off of the clock and everything. I know that's all movie logic. It's all movie logic. I get it. But that one's still just a little bit, even just suspending reality for a lot of that other stuff. That one was the little bit for me where it was like, really, he manifests for this guy to shoot at him.
We're talking about a movie that's got a make-believe character in it. And the thing you're hung up over is the 4-hour, 1 hour timer.
Yes.
He's a big fan of.
I know it's all suspension of disbelief. I get it.
He's a big fan of movies. That's what it is.
24. Don't even get me started on 24. Okay.
Jack Flack, Jack Bauer.
Yeah, I mean that's He can get across the valley in 15 minutes. Yeah, okay.
I'm chalking it up to this is the guy that enjoyed the show Lost.
Fair. But
which made
Magic
no sense.
Island. That's all you need to know about Lost. Magic Island. Okay,
he's all in on Magic Island, but a timer that appears to take.
Oh no, we
forever
could go down. There are several things in Lost.
Smoke
that
monster.
Well, but I mean, kind of cycling back
the
to
Man
this.
in Black.
All right,
very much. So it's like
Johnny Cash was not in that. Anyway, the thing that I find interesting is I did a little bit of reading on this, and I found out that apparently Dabney Coleman and Richard Franklin, the director, did not get along at all.
Is that why he's in so few scenes?
Yeah, well, that was part
as
of it.
as you know, yeah.
As the dad.
Yeah,
it was really kind of interesting to read up on this because there were a lot of hands in this movie, and you can
see it.
It does have a very choppy feel to it. It doesn't really flow
It very
too well.
much says written by committee.
And it also is a love affair with San Antonio because, I mean, you see a lot of elements.
And the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
Because the Dallas Cowboys are all over this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a love affair with San Antonio. You know,
Which I don't have a problem with.
You have the Riverwalk, you have the Alamo,
Right.
you have all these other elements that are there that are iconic things for San Antonio. But you know, the fact that they were able to use some of these in the movie is kind of, to me, is kind of cool because you do get to see elements of this that are on set that are real, you know, versus the inside of the Alamo, which if Pee-wee's Big Adventure has told us anything, there is no basement.
There is no basement.
So, but
and also the other thing that we can is it has that wonderful movie trope of the silencer on the gun.
Oh god.
It's called a
suppressor. I know. It only takes a few dB off the top. That's it. So it's. I know.
Don't even get started.
But the fact that where he's chasing him through the Riverwalk, like in the daylight, and he's firing, and the guy's firing at the kid, and the people are just walking
With
around
an
there's
Uzi.
nothing. Well, I'm
With an
talking
Uzi.
about before that when they're going to get on the during the daytime.
Yeah.
When the other
yeah.
guy's chasing him when he gets on the boat, and he's firing at him as he's going down the stairs, and literally. As the kid runs around the corner, you see another couple walk up right behind this dude that's just fired off 4 shots, and
Not even
actually
moving,
nothing's
not even
going on
phasing.
whatsoever.
That's not how firearms work, people.
Or whenever he shoots the guy in the inside the mall.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's going to reverberate all through that mall.
Everybody's ears are going to be ringing, even with a suppressor, even using some sonic ammunition.
Again, suspension of disbelief, movie tropes. Okay, so
Well, but and like I said, there's a lot of elements on this movie that were a lot of fun, and I went back and watched it. And is it a rewatchable movie?
It was fun.
To a
It
point,
was fun.
to a
I
point.
enjoyed it. I really did.
I definitely think it gives a different light on it as an adult viewing it
Yes,
than
yes.
I ever
Absolutely.
did as a kid.
Absolutely.
You know, as
It's
a
an
kid-
adventure when you're a kid.
Yeah.
As an adult, you're
It's
just like,
terrifying.
that's bad parenting. What are you doing?
Oh my god! You know? Well, and I mean, let's go down the list here. I mean, Davey,
and as a parent, I was sitting there watching that, especially at the end of it, putting myself in that situation on the plane. That whole
defend your kid.
Yeah, actually, and of course, I was also thinking that's a long drop from the top from that airplane.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that and they shot it of him falling and having to get out of the way of the wheels coming through there because otherwise that plane's rolling right over top of that kid.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, this movie had so many things that are traumatizing to a child.
Yes.
Aside from just losing their mom, the kids get shot at.
Yep.
One of his
chased.
friends got shot and
One
killed.
of his friends gets killed. Then he gets thrown in the trunk with him.
He has to shoot somebody.
Yes.
Which is a whole other
this
thing.
This is just like childhood trauma
Oh, I know.
personified through this movie.
And that's how we got Halloween and Michael Myers.
Yeah,
Oh
pretty
my
much.
gosh. I mean, it's one of those things that, watching this, I was like, that poor kid is having to deal with all this crap.
He's going to be going to a psychologist for a very long
Yeah, he's got
time.
even big. He's got much
Yeah.
bigger problems now than just losing his mom and having an imaginary friend. Okay, this is
There's a reason they didn't do a follow-up to this movie.
Yeah, please, no sequels for this.
I don't think
please
they're ever
no.
going back to this one.
So a couple of things that I did find kind of
Okay.
cool about this movie, and I did a little digging. And
Well,
Go
before
ahead.
I say, I know I just kind of complained about or I had some stuff to say about it. That
No, you complain.
Okay, fine. But the thing is, I love this movie.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a fun movie. It is a lot of fun.
yeah, it
you know?
really is.
And especially for any of us that grew up in that era of Spy Hunter, G.I. Joe, all of those
All
types
this
of
stuff, I know.
even James Bond to a degree, all of those kind of
Roger
played
Moore,
into-
James Bond.
Yes, absolutely.
That's our James Bond.
Yeah, we stop at Dalton, But
Ooh, Dalton?
no, I said we stop at Dalton. That just
Yeah, but now I feel dirty. Can
But
you
the thing is,
Dalton denial.
the
Live
thing
in
is-
Dalton denial.
the thing is, I like Timothy Dalton in stuff. I just
Sidebar.
didn't like him as James Bond. Of course, I don't really care much for James Bond, so it didn't bother me a whole lot. But it was just, don't give me that look. I know both of you are like, what? James Bond has never been my thing. I just, I have not seen
He's
a
an
Bond.
in like Flint guy.
I have not seen a Bond
Sean
film.
Connery.
See, I was Moore. I was a Roger Moore guy. I was always a Roger Moore guy.
Bond I've seen the Sean Connerys. My dad, huge, obviously, we're quick tangent. Dad's a huge fan of the James Bond stuff, so I've seen all that, especially the Sean Connery stuff.
And I'll even give Brosnan.
But the Roger Moore stuff is where like View to a Kill and all that.
Oh, yeah.
I saw all that stuff.
Where it
went
really just
all the
that's
good
when
stuff.
the Broccolis went crazy. And just had fun. You know?
And even seeing the Never Say Never Again, which wasn't an official Bond film, but it was, and it was a
and like I said, I'll even give Brosnan his due because I mean that to me was.
And I liked him coming in as James Bond, but I've only seen part of GoldenEye, and I was not impressed with it. So
see, I will give full props to Brosnan. He did a great job, and Daniel Craig does great action movies.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really need somebody to take James Bond and turn him into Jason Bourne.
Fair enough.
So that's my 2 cents on it.
He's dead.
Okay,
now, so it doesn't
circling back.
Yes,
we're going to circle back.
But
All right,
anyway, there's a couple of things that I noticed about this movie that
you've redheads and circling back.
Wow. Shots fired.
Do not talk to me about Peppermint Patty. All right.
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs
in
yes.
this movie. There were a couple of them that I thought was kind of cool.
Atari everywhere.
Yes, Atari was huge in it.
And in the Wikipedia page, it says it's the 5200.
It is the 5200.
But if you go and do side-by-side image comparisons, it looks like the 7800.
I sat there because, again, I had a 5200, a couple of them over the years. I was like, that's a 5200, especially the controller. That was the whole thing. I was like, that's the 5200 controller. Because that piece of garbage broke all the time.
Yep.
Those things were terrible.
It was crap.
Well, the funny thing is, did you notice the poster that was behind Morris in the store? It was a Japanese poster.
Yes.
It was advertising for the Atari 2800,
right.
which was never released in the United States.
Right.
It was released it's called the Sears Telegame 2.
Yes. Well, I know that the poster that Davey has in his room, the Atari poster's got E.T., which is funny because this 84, it came out after the video game crash the year prior, which E.T. had a lot to that. E.T. the game had a lot to do. Well,
it was the reason.
It was a reason for it. Yes, it was that final snowflake that landed that caused the avalanche.
Fair.
All
right.
But it was set to go already. You know,
but everything points to the 5200. But when I was doing
the cartridges are 5200.
Yeah.
I mean those
Which
are the
I
50,
thought was
because the
strange.
7800 had the regular that looked like the 2600 cartridges.
Yeah, the square one.
Yeah.
If I did because I watched it on my computer.
Mm-hmm. I did too. Mm-hmm.
I was doing image comparisons because I was trying to figure out what console it was, and the top of the console looked like a 7800.
But I don't think the 7800 came out until later.
It came out in May of that year.
Well, and the other.
Well, then how would they have had it? Because they would have had to film this at least a year and a half prior. So.
Well, if they worked with Atari to get the equipment,
I guess
they probably
makes
gave
sense.
it to them.
They probably
But
didn't.
the funny thing about it is, if you go back and look at what else was in that store,
everything's 5200.
Well, not just that. You had a ColecoVision in there.
Yes.
You had an Intellivision in there. You had. I mean, I want to say I saw an Odyssey in there too.
Probably.
Was just
all that stuff was out at the time.
Yeah,
so it makes sense that they would.
But it's just kind of that special moment if you're a video game geek. When
Oh,
you're sitting
dude.
there watching this and you're like, these are all my friends.
I was
come
sitting
together
there,
and see me.
That the few scenes that take place in that store, I was just like, I want to go there. I want to go back to that store. I just want to go to that store.
Yep.
Because we all had some kind of store around that was
and it was
similar,
usually
very
something
similar.
close to the name. This was called the Gamekeeper.
Right.
And
it was usually something because, Sears, okay? Sears, had a lot to do with the 2600 becoming what it was.
Yeah, because we had the Sears
version.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Everybody else had
my
the
aunt and uncle
Atari.
did.
I had
Telegame.
I had the
Telegame. Yeah.
No, it was still I forget
The Sears Telegame is what it was. Yeah,
but it was the white face.
Yep.
Right.
Atari.
Right, and that was my aunt and uncle had that one, and the one that I had was the Atari, the straight up Atari, but. Sears had a lot to do with that, but the thing is that there was, later, there were stores like Electronics Boutique that were in the mall, and that kind of stuff where they carried. But there were like stores in the mall that's all they carried was Atari and Coleco, and it was just video games. That's all it was. It was
Activision.
So cool. Yeah, well, that's a whole other thing. So it's
and one other thing that I thought was kind of interesting about this. Do you remember playing the game Cloak and Dagger on the Atari? No, you don't.
did.
You know why?
It
never was
exists.
released on the
I know.
Atari. It was an upright video game.
yes,
They had a console game.
and there was
called-
there was an upright in the movie.
There was an upright, but the video that you see William Forsythe playing, they actually took one of the mods from the upright game and piped it into his monitor.
Okay.
So that he could see that.
makes
But
sense.
there was no.
Yeah.
However, there was a game that was released for consoles that was mocked off of this. It just wasn't called Cloak and Dagger. It was called Agent X.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was it's
I know
not
what
shot
you're
for
talking
shot,
about.
but it's very close.
very
to the
very
same.
similar. Well, that whole getting in the elevator.
Yep.
And I remember that.
Yep, that was
I'm
Agent
playing
X.
something, 'cause
Well, that was Jack Flack's operations name in the movie was
Agent X.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah. I remember again a little tangent because this all goes in together. After the video game crash happened, where there was that about 2 year period of like video games were just persona non grata. I mean,
Right.
it wasn't until the Nintendo came out just a couple years, hit the U.S. a couple years later, and Nintendo wouldn't even call it a video game system. That's why it's the Nintendo Entertainment System because video games had such a bad connotation.
Yeah.
I remember every store marked every game down to nothing, trying to get rid of them, and I very, very, very vividly remember going to Hill's department store that was right up here around the corner and them having bins of games that were marked down to like $1.99 or something like
returns too.
Yeah, there was a lot
back when you could return a video
and literally just going in and like, I'll take this one and 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 just having all these like,
yeah.
And it was a lot. It wasn't very many of the Atari branded stuff. It was a lot of because Atari didn't what's the word? They didn't do a lot of quality check on their stuff. They allowed anybody to develop for it, which is one of the reasons why Nintendo, that seal of approval that was on everything. They were very much like, we're not getting to this problem. We're not getting this. So I had a bunch of games like Airlock and stuff like that were like these really like subpar games that I loved the hell out of.
During high school, I got a speeding ticket for something. I ended up having to do community service hours, and I ended up. The irony of it is that I ended up driving the thrift community center / thrift store's truck hauling off trash after getting a speeding ticket.
You got a speeding ticket, so they made you drive.
Right. But as you do.
Yeah.
When I was on my lunch break, I was walking around in there and just seeing what they had and came across a bowl full of Atari games for $0.25 a piece.
Yeah.
And I snagged up the entire bowl.
I know.
Well, yeah, I mean, back when they'd started doing the transitions on those, and again, after the big crash on that, you couldn't give these things away.
No,
nobody
literally,
them,
you could not give them away.
And and Atari was so big about, they would not make their stuff backwards compatible. You always had to get a new version of the game and a new console.
Well, but
and a lot of that's because of technology.
Nintendo did the same thing. I mean,
True.
Sega did the same thing. Everybody,
till Sony came around.
Yeah, but even now, they've been spotty.
Yeah.
Them and Microsoft have both been spotty about that. Where, the PlayStation 3 is backwards compatible, but only with the 2s. And then in the beginning, it was like, there was one version that was completely backwards compatible, but if you got a different version of it, it was only like PS1 compatible, and if you got a different version of it, it was only PS2 compatible. And I know, but I'm just talking. I get it, but it's just a weird thing that
No, I agree. And I mean, and going back and looking at this movie, and I did rewatch this as well, just to kind of
believe me, we can't talk about this movie and not talk about video games.
Oh, of course, you can't talk about this, and you can't talk about without talking about Bond or
I know.
These other movies that played into that whole spy factor of it. I do think this is a bit of a time capsule.
Very much so.
I don't think and the question was raised to me: could this movie be remade today? And if so, should it be?
No,
I don't know.
No,
I don't know on this.
I don't think it should be remade at all.
And I've got to take umbrage with you.
Okay.
Over the last episode where you were talking about certain movies should be remade.
Yes.
For the kids today, you should never retouch some of these classic movies. I would.
I agree. Some of them should not be.
Now,
there are some that I do think that
you were talking about remaking Last Starfighter.
Yes.
No.
I still stand. I
say
stand behind that.
Because he flew off into the sunset, and that was the end of the movie.
Right.
What you could do is do a revisit at a later date and have him come back for a new recruit.
I disagree. I would have because then you've got Top Gun, and I really I'm one of the few people that is not excited about seeing the new Top Gun at all.
I mean,
but because
I'm
that
going
was-
to see it.
That
But
was
Top
my
Gun has
story,
never been.
and I don't want to see that.
Dave feels
however-
attacked.
Well, that's all right. I caught this from the infamous Amy as well, so
I know,
she's
I
super
know,
excited
I
about
know.
seeing it. But as far as the remake of this movie, there are certain movies that I do think could benefit from a retelling and a reissuing of it, just because it is a little dated. And I mean, let's be honest, this movie is a little.
Oh, this is more than a little.
Oh,
dated.
it's more than a little dated. I mean, the fact that they were driving around in a Ford Fairmont. Just
Oh,
made
I
me
know,
happy.
I know.
And it was, of course, it was chocolate brown.
Oh my
Ugh.
god!
But you should
and it was
just-
sun faded.
Oh, yeah.
and it was just it was
Yeah.
awesome.
But
It's
you
like-
should just
You can
leave
almost
some
smell the
things
nicotine.
alone.
You know.
Leave my childhood alone. Leave it alone.
But again, I think that if you're going to mine for products to reissue on this,
I already have problems with Hollywood not being able to come up with new material
I know,
as it
I
is.
know.
I agree with you.
And they keep going back to the vault and going, oh well, what can we squeeze some extra dollars out of?
But again, there are certain things that I 100% agree with you should not be done, should not be retouched, should not just be left alone.
I think this movie should be left alone just simply because it's not a really good movie. I mean, it's an enjoyable movie, and it's one
It's
that
fun.
again
It's a
that I
Saturday
love.
afternoon.
It's fun.
But it's not a good movie.
It's what I like to call a Saturday afternoon.
It really is.
You know,
I got a couple hours to kill.
Yeah, this is.
And this movie is almost 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's.
That's
a lot
what
longer than
got me.
anticipated
I
to be.
was like, wow. I was sitting there. Okay, when they, what was it? I forget what point in the movie it was. Where I looked at the timestamp, and it was I think it was actually when they made when he gave the fake cartridge over.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking at the timestamp, and there was still an hour left to go in the movie. And I was like, wow. In any normal movie, this would be you're kind of like, okay, we're winding this down into where we're trying to get to the climax of the movie here before long. It's
Well,
like,
and
wow.
that kind of goes to the other reason of why I'd make the argument of having this movie redone, because there is some continuity issues. There is definitely some length issues.
This needed to be edited.
There was a
quite bit.
lot of the whole running sequences.
Oh, my God.
It felt like I was watching La Femme Nikita. I mean, it was just running everywhere. But
is it Manos: The Hands of Fate that has like all the scenes of the
God.
guys like parking?
The opening sequence where the car takes like 10 minutes to come up. To
Yeah,
the
yeah.
That's Manos. For those of you listeners that aren't aware, I'm a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, and that is one of the greatest Mystery Science Theater movies of all time. But anyway,
which aren't they remaking that?
Shut up.
I'm not joking. I think there was some kind of in production, or maybe it was a sequel or something.
Shut your blasphemous mouth.
Because it got so much traction after MSTK. So.
You shut your blasphemous mouth. Anyway, as Dave's over here twirling his mustache going, look at what I've created. When did you turn into Dr. Evil is what I want to know.
I still have my hair, thank you. That's Dr. Evil over there.
Well, no, he still has his hair. It's just under his bed. Anyways, back to the movie. Yes.
Is this because I trimmed my beard? This is all because I trimmed my beard.
You knew you were going to catch crap for that. You knew you were going to catch crap for that. But I do think that this,
no offense, but there's one person who really likes it, and that's the only thing I care about. So it's
all right. I can't argue with that. But I do think, like I said, I'd like to see this movie redone. I do think that it could benefit with maybe a little bit of an update on the technology as well.
Absolutely.
I do think that there are certain scenes that may not carry over. Locking a kid in a trunk with a dead man, I think, is never a good idea.
You're definitely not going to see that. Well, you also got to remember this. He locked himself in there.
True.
Okay, that was
I think you have to leave that in the movie.
Yeah, all right.
You have to leave that in the movie.
That again,
going to
though,
end up
is-
with a PG-13 rating
It'll definitely be PG-13 either way.
because society
Talking
is
about
weak.
technology, I really love the fact, and this is something that I also love. I love the fact that basically what it was whenever they unlock what's on the disc or what's on the cartridge is that it's blueprints for the SR-71 Blackbird.
Yes.
Which in 1984. You could go anywhere and buy a model of that thing. Yep. You could do all kind, and the government was still saying this doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't exist.
Well, they gave it a different name for a while. It wasn't the SR-71.
No,
it was something else.
It was the Blackbird, is what they call it.
The SR-71, because there's one in Huntsville, Alabama,
right
in frnt of the Space and Rocket Center, but it's got a different.
Yeah.
name.
Well, what it's also funny is that it wasn't just that it was that, but it was also the fact that it was Lockheed. Lockheed made it was because that was the whole thing in the X-Men comic book. Their that was the Blackbird was their was their thing, which was really funny because Kitty Pryde had a dragon named Lockheed.
Nice.
And so it's one of those things that like at that point in time, the U.S. government still wasn't acknowledging that this thing existed, but it was everywhere.
It was the worst kept secret, you know.
I mean, you could go out to the airport and watch this thing take off.
I know, and you could seriously here in Nashville. Yeah, you really could.
But it didn't exist.
But it didn't exist. I know it's kind of like the stealth bomber.
Exactly.
That was the same thing. Now they kept a little better on that one, but not much. You know, so,
I don't know what you're talking about. It's just a dang old weather balloon.
Yeah, exactly.
Swamp gas.
Yeah, exactly.
You realize we're in Tennessee, right? All right. But anyway, but yeah, like I said, I do think that this would really benefit from a reissuing and updating on it. Just don't make it into a damn Disney movie. That's all I ask. Don't over.
Okay, you said who was it that made this? Universal's that
Universal.
Okay,
Yeah.
This very much is a Disney movie.
It has that feel.
It very much has the
but it
Disney,
has the feel of like.
With the exception of the kid shooting the guy.
Well, I was going to say it has more of a feel of like the Escape from Witch Mountain.
Yes,
kind of Disney,
absolutely. Yeah,
not Herbie the Love Bug.
No,
you know,
no.
It's definitely more of that Disney taking a little bit more of a chance and a gamble on, you know, I don't want to say adult situation.
This feels like a Disney movie of this era. Because again,
maybe
you're talking,
a little bit earlier, but
in that late 70s, early 80s, you know, that area, Watcher in the Woods, or
Watcher in the Woods, you know, Escape from Witch Mountain,
that kind of stuff where it's Last Flight of Noah's Ark, you know, something like that, you know, where it's again, it's that whole Dave.
We're good.
Okay. Dave's got a worried look on his face because we're rendering something, and it's like, that's not good. But yeah, it very much. I mean. I knew it wasn't a Disney movie, but it definitely had that feel to it for me anyway. So,
well,
anyways,
and it does fit into, you know, kind of in our criteria that we were talking about for this
Kids in Danger. I know.
It's definitely, this is like the quintessential Kids in Danger movie.
Right.
And it does have that same kind of feel of the era of like Flight of the Navigator.
Right.
Or, you know, Explorer.
There's another one right there, Flight of the Navigator, which was a Disney movie. You know,
But, you know, again,
which we just covered.
It has that same type of a feel to it. So I do think that while something like Flight of the Navigator, I would never want to see redone.
No,
never.
Although they've been talking about
it. I know, but you know,
leave my childhood alone.
I know.
it was Bryce Dallas Howard, and if somebody's going to do it, I'd like to see what she can do with it.
Still leave it alone.
But I wouldn't mind seeing this one redone. I wouldn't mind seeing this done from the idea of, you know, a newer concept. But the thing is, and this is the question that I ask: do kids still have imaginary friends now? You know, because that's what the
do kids these days know what a walkie-talkie is?
Okay, fair.
Because it would be a cell phone. It'd be like, hey Kim, there's a bomb in your phone. Can you throw it out the window, please? Yeah. Thank you.
Do I really want to get rid of my phone though? Because I paid so much money for this. My mom's going to really be able to.
That's true.
Like, I have all my contacts in here, all my Instagram messages. Yeah, blah blah blah. I don't know if I get rid of this. Exactly. I mean, it's there are plenty of reasons for them to still not want to get rid of. I did love the car phone though.
Oh god,
the car phone was awesome.
That was totally.
That's
awesome.
Talk about a throwback. Oh, and the Cadillac. Okay, the Sedan DeVille. Okay. I know this car because we owned one. Not that color, but we had an 84 Cadillac. It was gray. That was that exactly like. It took a mile to turn the damn thing around because it was so long. It's just
the
like,
door itself weighs more than the car you're driving to.
Yeah, pretty much.
No doubt. And you know, let us not forget the Ford Fairmont that they were driving around in.
Yes.
That god awful shade of brown that just, you know, you could tell everything was just about to fall off of it.
Oh, I know.
You know, but
well, again, like kind of what you said, this entire movie smells of cigarettes.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's
you can
everything
smell
has
the
an
nicotine,
ashtray.
you
I mean,
know?
it's like.
I mean, it definitely has that era. And if you're looking for something, you know, as I said, on a Saturday afternoon that you're wanting that bit of nostalgia to where you can kind of get what it felt like to run around the mall as a kid in the 80s, this is a good interpretation of it. If you're wanting something where you were basically allowed to just let loose and run wherever the hell you wanted to go, nobody was going to bat an eyelash to you, this is really a good representation of it. And that would be the only struggle that I would see if they're doing a remake of it, of how are you going to capture that element in today's world.
You can't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, helicopter parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Thank you, Life 360.
you know, it just that would be the biggest struggle that I would see. Now, if they want to retell it set in 84 or whatever,
See, I don't.
that could be
As much as and I know as we're recording this, the new season of Stranger Things is about to be dropped here in a few weeks,
Right.
and
Thank goodness.
and I'm looking forward to it. And that is a show, and this very much goes along with it. Stranger Things is a show that in its first season, I did not love the way that everyone else did. Everybody kept going on and on and on. And I was like, yeah. It was in the second season that I finally got into it. Like, I gave it a second shot, basically. And I was like, okay, now they're starting to get into, I'm feeling this a little bit more, because that first season of Stranger Things, they were like, it really was the member berries from South Park. You know, are you familiar with that, Dave? When people talk, I didn't know about it until a little while ago. So, you know, somebody had to tell me what it was. So I have stopped watching South Park a long time ago. But it is that very member berries of, hey, remember this? Wasn't this so great? Hey, what? Blah, 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 you know? And I'm like,
I take a
God.
little exception to that.
And I'm like,
I take a lot of exception.
And
to
I
that.
know all you got to do is look around this room right here. Okay, this is
and mainly because the reason Alan couldn't get into the first season of Stranger Things is because he has terrible taste in movies and television.
Yeah. No, but it's one of those things that I love Stranger Things now, but I really am, and I like a movie or a television show that's a period piece. Okay, don't get me wrong. The problem that I have with a lot of these quote-unquote period pieces, especially in the 80s, is the fact that the three of us sitting here lived through the 80s. And it seems like the people who are remaking this only have pop culture's recollection of what the 80s were. And that's the thing that irritates.
Disagree with
that irritates me more than anything else. Okay,
I agree.
And that's one of the things that, again, with Stranger Things, after they kind of got past that in the first season, it became a much better show. And there are other examples of that. You know, the Goldbergs is one. I love the Goldbergs.
I've never seen an episode.
But that show has been 9 seasons of, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? And like, it irritates me a lot. But the fact that it is a comedy and it's a send up a lot of times.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. You know, I get it. Even they're in on the joke as well. You know, so.
and you know, their references and what they pull from are.
And they're all over the place. There's nothing sequential about that whatsoever.
There's a lot of points that you can go back to that really are special, and you know, even some of their guests that they have on the show are epic. And the fact that they actually had Bill Goldberg on the Goldbergs just makes me happy.
Yeah,
and he didn't play Goldberg.
No,
he played the coach's brother.
Coach's brother, yeah.
But yeah. So Cloak and Dagger. Final thoughts on it, Dave. What do you think?
It's a fun little romp that most of the kids today are not going to understand.
I agree.
This is very much a nostalgia.
It's very much
piece
of its
now.
time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about you, Alan?
I like I said, I really enjoyed going back and rewatching this. Again, have not watched it since the 80s ended, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I know I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
You know, since the 80s ended at some point. Probably haven't seen it since the mid 80s, to be honest. But I really enjoyed it quite a bit. There was a lot of the member berries and the, you know, and like, and again, that whole, dude, again, for whatever reason that I got stuck in this loop of the 80s here recently that has spurred this whole, you know, retro summer that we're doing. I'm really enjoying reliving this stuff and also being like, okay, is this me finally like having my catharsis of letting all this go by going back and reliving it and then being like, okay, now it's time for you to go. And you know, it's...
Well, you're seeing it through different eyes.
Yes.
And I do think that, you know, for me, I think, Dave, you may have said it before or something. We were talking about some movie and you said, yeah, I watch this about once every 10 years, but I only watch it once every 10 years.
Right, right.
And this definitely to me is it's not that it's not rewatchable per se.
Oh no, it's definitely rewatchable, but
it's never going to carry the same weight or the same memory for me is something like Flight of the Navigator or
that's fair enough.
Or something.
But really, my only complaint about this movie is after it was over, my house smelled like an ashtray full of Marlboro Reds that had been smashed out for like 3 days.
Couldn't quite figure out why that happened.
It's like, why does the house smell like cigarettes?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
But yeah, it's definitely fun, and I definitely think that is this one that people of our age.
Yes.
Should you watch this with your kids?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I think it'd be a good watch. I think it would be one of those ones.
I don't think they'll get it. That's the only reason.
You got
why
to show
I
it
say
to them, young and so.
I think it will be something that they'll probably zone out.
Granted, you also
phone about 20 minutes.
You also have to remember that people our age, if we're showing this to our kids, they're already like in high school or going off to college.
Yeah.
Unlike myself, who started late, so my kid is still in elementary school.
Yeah,
and they probably already have seen it.
Yeah.
And actually, you should do a double feature with this one and Nightmare on Elm Street so they can experience the trauma right along with the kid.
Both 1984 movies.
Actually, I kind of want to go back and do as it was originally cast and do a double feature with this and The Last Starfighter, because I think that could be a lot of fun.
Well, we did The Last Starfighter last year. I think it was last summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Somewhere in there, and you can go find that episode. It's back there. I think we kind of had a little mixed. Like both Dave and I enjoyed The Last Starfighter. Again, that was a movie that I had not seen since the 80s, and I really enjoyed going back and rewatching it. It had pacing issues. There were a few things here and there, but as a whole, both of us really enjoyed
it's a great
rewatching that movie.
Yes,
So-
I can see where this one would be the matinee feature.
Yeah.
On a double
exactly.
header.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is I think this would be a good lead in to that movie.
Yeah.
And just to kind of go back to that one really quick, has there ever been a great nickname to steal for somebody breaking wind in a room other than the words Death Blossom?
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Air Biscuit.
Okay, fair. But yeah, I definitely think
I
this
can
is.
do a few, but we try to keep this a family show. So it's
We fail miserably, but we try.
Please tell me the movie that I'm referring to when I say Air Biscuit.
Floating Air Biscuit. It's Weird Science.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
took me a minute.
fair enough.
Another kid's totally running amok.
Yeah.
Robert Downey.
I think that a good double feature with this
Yes.
is one that we're actually going to recover. Or we're going to cover next week.
Uh-oh.
Which is War Games.
I'm sorry, folks. Every time I hear that word, I have to say it like William Regal.
And we'll get more into that one in that episode, but there are a lot of through lines between both of these movies.
Absolutely.
So, so guys, seriously, go check out. Was this streaming anywhere? I don't remember.
I couldn't find it.
I didn't think that it was. I had to find it in the public domain.
The only place that I have found this.
Actually, this is on YouTube.
Yeah,
you can rent it on YouTube. I know that. Yeah.
The link you sent me was completely broken.
Yeah, it was garbage.
Yeah. So I found it in the public domain.
Yeah.
And added it.
And I found it on Alan's server.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It is available to view on YouTube. I think it's like a $4 or $5 charge.
Yeah, something like that.
And honestly, it's worth it. For $5 to sit down and watch this one time with your kids or your family, or just to have that blast of nostalgia come back over you to see.
Have your kids be like, Dad, really? Why are we watching this? Can we watch something cool?
Why is he putting this big piece of plastic in another piece of plastic to play a game with the guy with a pixel that runs across the screen?
I know.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Retro Summer 2022. We have a ton more. Matter of fact, we're still trying to hammer down the final list of stuff.
He keeps taking my stuff off.
Well, it's some of it, again, we've already covered, like The Last Starfighter, and some of it also is let's leave a little bit of wiggle room rather than just doing all movies, so we can put something else in here that goes along with it. Like, we talked about doing another one of our Billboard, top 100 of a year.
Which is so much fun.
Yeah, and we found a good year for it too. So as well as we'll come up with some other stuff. We got plenty, and it's an ever growing list. We're not even going to put a list out. We're just going to. If you listen to the intro of these episodes, you're going to hear some of the stuff that is definitely going to be on here. But like I said, our next episode after this one is going to be War Games.
Yes.
And I know we all have thoughts. So stick around for that. Go check us out on Discord. Go check us out on Instagram.
All the socials.
All the socials, all that stuff.
Yes, we're still on Facebook.
Yeah, Dave's still on Facebook.
No, Barry's been posting on Facebook.
Dave and Barry are still on Facebook. I am no longer on Facebook, and my life is so much better. So
I just realized the two of us together were an author.
Yeah, a very funny one too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Dave Barry.
Yeah.
You guys just now getting that?
Yeah.
I have many times said Dave Barry, and I'm like, okay, yeah. Dave's World was a great TV show. Let's be honest.
Moving
it was
on.
Yeah.
It could be worse. He could go Barry Allen. And
Then there's that too. I know, and that one has occurred to me a few times as well. So
We combined the three, make it a very funny fast guy.
Well, there could be David Allen Coe, So I mean,
Do not go there. Do not go there. Move along.
So anyways,
That's Alan Smith.
that's Big Dave,
And I'm Barry.
and we will see you next time.
See ya.